welcome to the Wayfaring Panda. I'm Annette. Today I'm participating in the All About the Mouse YouTube Hop put on by Shannon Blinn. And this month we're to use this picture for inspiration. And of course you see Mickey Mouse, so I picked out a photo. Didn't have Mickey Mouse, but I'm trying to finish all my Disneyland photos from 2004 or 2005, whatever year we went on that trip. In any case, I'm trying to finish that, so I didn't have any Mickey photos, so I picked out a picture of the roller coaster at California Adventure because it has a picture of Mickey's head where you go upside down on the roller coaster. And also in this picture, it looks like there's a lot of mixed media and it looks kind of grungy. I don't know that I'll go totally for the grunge look because that's not really my thing, but I decided to do some mixed media. I got some purchases from a scrapbook store in Branson, Missouri that I just went to this week on vacation. We just went there for a couple days. We didn't go on any big vacation this year since we went to Disney World over the Christmas holidays. So anyway, I allowed myself to get a couple of the stencils, and believe it or not, I have several star stencils, and I think they're all with Tim Holtz, but one of them was kind of in a shape, swirly shape, and then the other one was retro looking. I didn't have any stencils of kind of regular looking stars, so I allowed myself to get this one. And then I'm also trying to use up my stash, so I've had this glacier paste for a while, so I'm trying to use it. I've actually had it for several years and it hasn't dried out, so I'm really happy about that. I'm using a sketch for this layout, so I went ahead and got my papers ready so I could kind of see where I would need to do this stenciling, where there wouldn't be any papers covering my paper. And this is actually mixed media paper that I'm using, and I cut it to 11 by 11 because I'm going to put some scrapbook paper behind it. I didn't quite plan out my layout as how I was doing the stenciling perfectly because I got to where at the end there was spots where I didn't have any stenciling where I needed it, but I couldn't put the stencil down without putting it on top of what I had already done, which kind of messed it up a little bit. But I went ahead and did it because I was just too impatient to wait for it to dry and add some more. I'm going to be adding some splatters and also some embellishments so that allows me a chance to kind of cover up some of the areas where it's messed up more. But also I'm trying to embrace the grunge because I'm not really into the grunge style. Although the colors I'm using are not what I really think of when you think of grunge. It's more the darker colors. But it's Mickey Mouse, so I need to use gold and yellow because that's the papers that I'm using. So I want something to go with that. Plus, it's happy, not sad. I went ahead and cleaned off all the glacier paste off screen because if you let that dry, it gets hard to get off of the stencil and the glass mat. And now I'm just erasing some of the extra pencil marks that didn't get covered that I think might show up in the layout whenever I put my papers down. The photo that I have, as well as the papers, has gold in it, so I decided to splatter on some picket fence paper splatter watercolor that's called Liquid Gold, and I use a fan brush to do that. I tried to add more splatter where there's less stars and also where I kind of have it smeared, so hopefully that'll cover up some of the mistakes. The sketch shows using 2 fishtail banners, so I'm cutting 2 of those out of paper that I had in my stash from Color Play, and this is from A Day at the Park collection, and the one I'm using is called Oh Boy, and they both came from the same paper. I'm just using reverse sides. I go around the white banner with some barn door distressing so that it will show up on the white paper. I decided to do the same with the little embellishment that I'm going to use for my journaling tag, and this comes from Simple Stories Journal Bits from the Say Cheese Classic Mouse collection. I chose this because I didn't have any journaling tags from the Color Play collection. So you don't have to feel like you have to use everything that comes from the same collection, let alone the same brand, as long as, you think it looks good with your layout. I let my paper dry for several hours before I came back to it, and now I'm adding some Nuvo Deluxe glue so I can add it to a 12 by 12 piece of Carta Bella scrapbook paper from the same collection. Normally, I don't really have problems with my Nuvo Deluxe glue. It usually gets dried out when I get to the very end of the bottle, but I have about a third of the bottle still full, so I don't know why I kept clogging. Usually, after I unclog it with a pen, it's good for at least a couple hours, so I don't know why I kept having to unclog it. The paper I'm using from this same collection is called Fireworks, and I like using the glue whenever I'm going to add another piece of paper to a background. That way, if I don't get it on straight, I can move it a little bit, which for some reason I got it pretty straight to start with. But normally I'm trying to take it off, and if I use double-sided tape, then it just tears the paper when I try to get it off. Then I start trying to figure out where I'm going to put everything according to the sketch. And the sketch I'm using came from the Disney Scrappers group, and it was made by Susan Stringfellow. But I didn't put it on the video because it's a private group, and I don't know that the sketch is in the public domain. The sketch showed several different circles on the layout, and I happened to have this circle that I had cut out, I think last year for when I was doing a sketchathon, but I never used it, so I thought it'd be perfect for this layout. And then another circle, I used a die to cut out some of the paper from Color Play, and that's the one that has the stars on it. The die cuts with the roller coaster and the arrow also came from Color Play A Day at the Park, and it's just a set of their cardstock die cuts. The sketch shows putting the journaling kind of in the corner by the photo and the black circle, but since I'm using a horizontal photo and the sketch had a vertical, I didn't think that mattered, and I decided to put that over the area where it was kind of messed up from the stenciling. Then I used my black Micron pen to add my journaling to the tag, and I just say that we rode the roller coaster a couple times, and the worst part of it was at the beginning when it kind of launched you really fast, which was kind of surprising because I'm not really big into roller coasters. I kind of like the ones that are kind of curvy but don't have a lot of gigantic hills. So I was surprised how much we liked that. Of course, I was quite a bit younger when I rode this with my sister, and I don't think we did it the same day. I think we rode it 2 different days. Then I start gluing everything down, and you'll see that I had quite a bit of trouble using my glue. I keep having to unclog it with my pen. I'll put a list of all the products that I'm using in the description below. Some of these will be affiliate links. They don't cost you anything extra to use, but I do get a small commission from any sales that the links generate, and that helps support my channel. Since I'm trying to use up my stash, a lot of these products are older, so they probably don't exist anymore, but I do know a lot of these paper companies put out their Disney type themes every year, so they don't change a whole lot. I know Echo Park, Simple Stories, and Color Play usually have a lot of these different lines. So the Color Play one is called A Day at the Park. They may change the wording a little bit, but I'm sure they have ones that are similar colors to this. I find it kind of ironic that the circle I cut out for the gold stars actually had pretty much the M centered there, but I didn't think it looked as good as the star side, so I went ahead and flipped it back over to the side I was planning to use. Then I realized that the sketch shows that the banners should be under that circle, so I go ahead and glue my banners on, and I was able to pry up the circle a little bit so I can get the banners underneath. I chose the arrow element because I needed a taller element to go by the banner, and also I thought it was great because it says this tall to ride this ride, which of course, since it's a roller coaster, there would be a height restriction for it. And also being a shorter person, I sometimes joke around about whether I'm tall enough to ride the ride. I added my photo in red cardstock, and then I used my photo mounting squares to attach it to my layout. I used some Mickey washi tape to make a fishtail banner for the bottom right-hand corner of my layout. And I got confused a little bit when I started to put it on because I didn't realize at first it has some Mickey Mouse heads upside down and some not. And so at first I'm like, whoops, did I put this upside down? I still have a sticker sheet from this collection, so I chose the words that says, oh boy, because I figured that's probably what I was thinking when the roller coaster was starting to take off or when you're going down a hill. And then I also add a full Mickey shape as a nod to our inspiration and to actually get a real Mickey on my page. And then I think this was a punch out. I got a packet of them from a scrapbook store, so I think they were punched out with a paper punch. To finish up my layout, I add some pops of color. They're kind of like using enamel dots, but you just kind of squirt them on, and then I flick under the paper to get them to flatten out. And the first one I used is the gloss black. It's kind of like Nouveau enamel dots if you've never used them. And then the second one I started using was the glitter one. It's kind of like Stickles, and it's called Black Magic. Now, the only problem I have with this is I'm not always sure exactly how to do these, like where I want to put them. Sometimes I just spread out 3 of them, or I put 3 together in clusters. So I'm still trying to get comfortable with how much to use, but I thought that this would look good as adding some more black to the layout and also give a little bit of nod to the grunge theme. As I mentioned earlier, this is part of a YouTube hop. We do have a playlist for All About the Mouse, so I'll put that at the end of the video as well as in the description. Just click that, and then all the videos for this one will come up as well as ones from the past, and you'll be able to hop along and get a lot of inspiration for doing Disney photos. And some of these tips that you see can also be used for other scrapbook layouts. It doesn't have to be Disney. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like. And if you're not already a subscriber, I'd really appreciate if you can subscribe to my channel. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.